Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Advanced Water Heating Initiative Equity Working Group meeting for the month of November. And this would be the last working group meeting for this year. We wouldn't be having any working group meetings in December since we have the all stakeholder meeting. And we will reconvene as a group again in 2026. And we will do an yearly review as well as try to strategize the steps to move forward in 2026, just the way we did at the start of this year, which I would say was pretty helpful. And we'll also try to assess the kind of goals that we had set or the areas that we wanted to focus, how much we have stepped into that effort, and what else is required to step that up. So yes, we will see for the next meeting in Jan, but let's get started with today's meeting. So in case this is your first time attending this meeting, please do come forward and say hello to everyone and introduce yourself. I do know a couple of people. This is the first time. So, if I don't want to put you on the spotlight, so you can choose to come one by one. Starting with you, Shaila. Are you on mute, Shaila? No problem. We could go back with Magdalena.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Magda Szymańska. I am Associate Director of Sustainability at TNDC, Tenderloin Neighborhood Development Corporation, so affordable housing here in San Francisco. Thank you for having me.
Nice to have you, Magdalena. And when you say affordable housing, do you also do a lot of electrification projects with affordable housing?
Not as many as I would like to, but yes, that's actually electrification or partial electrification. That's mean electrification of the domestic hot water is under my purview in the existing buildings in our company, yes.
And so far, it's been like more of unitary or it's like central heat pump water heater systems?
So far, we did all central.
All central, wonderful.
Yes.
We are putting together a tracker for affordable housing with central heat pump water heaters. I would love to get in touch with you to get links for those studies.
Sure, I will be happy to.
Yeah, thank you so much. And do we have anyone else join us for the first time? Brittany, is this your first time?
I have joined in the past, but I can do a quick introduction for myself. Hi, everyone. My name's Brittany Breen. I am with the Energy Trust of Oregon, and I am on their commercial team as a project manager. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you too, Brittany. When you say commercial, so you work more with on the commercial heat pump water heater side?
Yeah, exactly.
Nice to meet you. And do we have Daniel? Is this your first time?
Oh no, Vidhisha, I've actually worked with you a few times, so I've been on this call a lot. I'm just not on. I'm often on the wall, a fly in the background, listening to everyone. So
Just giving spotlight to everyone so that in case you haven't introduced yourself in past meetings.
Oh yes.
you're good to-
Hello everyone. I can absolutely do this. I'm Dan Bailey. I'm actually the account manager for the Golden State Rebate Program, and I'm based out of Los Angeles, and we work for Clear Result along with my colleague Beth, who's also on the call.
Yes, Beth and Daniel, they did give a really good presentation on the Golden State rebates. It was in the utility working group. The recording is on the AWHI YouTube page. So in case anyone is interested, you can definitely have a look.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much coming on, Daniel. So yes, I think we could go forward. But in case if anyone has any work update to share with the group, feel free to do so. The platform is all yours. Post that, I would be taking the platform to talk a lot about a case study that we had been working on this year. I did talk about this earlier, but a little bit more details, insights, and some lessons learned from the project. But yes, does anyone want to share any work update, anything exciting that you're working on, or any program that you're rolling out for next year? Any thoughts in general over like how this year has been and with the working group as well? Even if you want to put a one-word comment in the chat, you're welcome to do so. Deepti, let me put you in the spotlight in case you have to say something. Sure,
Oh, Meena has something to say.
Sure, Meena, go ahead.
Good morning, everyone. I just simply wanted to remind everyone, whoever was on the last month's meeting call or equity group, working group call, that we are still having the heat pump advantage trainings throughout the state of California. We've officially launched the 15 training series in the Central California. Last week, we had a little bit of a tour. We started in Winton last Monday. On Veterans Day, we were in Fresno delivering that training. And then the following day, we were in Bakersfield delivering the heat pump advantage training. So I simply wanted to remind everyone, this is a fantastic opportunity, 1-day training, about 6 to 7 hour training. You will be fed, lunch is provided. Another perk by attending, of course, is there is a $100 stipend per employee who attends, and that is paid out to the company. Fantastic opportunity for anyone who is interested in learning more about heat pump technologies, heat pump installation best practices from HVAC systems, the dual packages, split systems, ductless mini split systems, as well as heat pump water heaters. So once more, it goes over best practices installations, how to market, how to promote, how to educate your clients, your customers, your residents on heat pump technology and why heat pump is advancing to better drive the adoption of heat pump technologies. Our next training will be held January 26th, January 9th to be exact, 2026 in Tulare, California. Following, we're asked to save the date for Merced, before we then go into the spring, where we will be in Southern California, Edison, as well as Northern. I'm sorry, Southern California. It's in Southern California, and then as well as Northern California, delivering the remainder of these heat pumps. So I will actually be dropping the landing page where you will be able to, in the chat, where you will be able to view the currently active registration trainings that we currently have, but certainly be on the lookout, because as we work on securing the remainder of the dates, you will be seeing additional training dates pop up for Victorville, for example, San Bernardino, including Chico and Eureka.
Thanks, Meena. And yes, Meena did share some details on that in the last meeting. We have shared that program details slides with the working group members. But yes, you should definitely check out the link that Meena would be sharing. This is on the heat pump water heater training. Yes, Rod, you also have something, some update to share?
Yes, I'm driving, so I'll be muted for most of this call. So I've just pulled over to make a quick comment. Southern Cal Edison have agreed that they're going to add air split systems to the ESA program for next year, which is fantastic.
Right.
And just hearing what Mina's just had to say, Mina, I'd like to maybe hook up with you at some stage to make sure we've got you up to speed with our split systems, so that when you're doing all these training webinars and training venues, that we're included, because I know all of the ESA programs with the IOUs and several of the munis are looking at our split systems for mobile homes, etc. in California. So it seems like it'd be good timing to really get the word out there with the contractors in the field right now.
That's a nice way of collaboration as well. Yes, and also Rod, I think in case you want to share, there has been some update in the standards as well for manufactured homes, where we did include, I think, a portion on split systems on how they installed.
Exactly. Yeah, the HCD have agreed now that split systems are suitable and viable for mobile homes in California. So we're very excited about that. And they're updating the regulations currently, and I'm more than happy that they're installed in the meantime until the formula regulations are written, I guess is how they'd put it. Yeah. So that's very exciting for us.
Absolutely. This year is definitely ending on a very exciting note. If you like more about split systems, product specifications, we did have a session on that on Heat Pump Water Heater Day. The recording and slides are up on the AWHI page. So in case anyone is interested, you can have a look there. But yes, anyone else with any updates? Dipti, do you have any update to share or just any thought that you'd like to share with the group?
No, I'm actually, thank you for the spotlight, but welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us on the last equity working group for this year. It has been an exciting year and a lot of challenges, a lot of overcoming those challenges. So yeah, great year. And I'm actually excited to learn more about what Vidhisha is going to talk about on the central heat pump water heaters. So yeah, we can get started. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Yes, let's move forward to some story time. The story is about a central heat pump water heater system in an affordable housing community. So sometime back, we did become a part of a project which was on like like a new construction, installing heat pump water heaters and trying to sort of like put together this a little fact like how efficient these systems are compared to other traditional or conventional water heaters. So this presentation is not technical. Just to make a note, I will try my best based on my knowledge, to answer any technical questions. But in case they're way too technical, I would definitely forward them to the team that took care of it and make sure that you do get some answers on it. But overall, this presentation is about like how such a project is like brought together, implemented, and then what are the lessons learned along the way. So yes, this project did take place in Tacoma. And this was a new construction, as I mentioned, and there were like two building units, a north building and a south building. The north building had about like 137 units. South building was comparatively less with 94 units. The funding model like is a basic and like a very prerequisite condition for any sort of project. Like you do need some sort of a funding assistance to move forward. And if a project is on a large scale, you definitely need a diversified funding pool to for different stages. So there were a lot of other stakeholders that came together, but some of the prime were Bonneville Power Administration, Tacoma Power had put for their incentives. There was a DEET grant that was also a part of this funding pool. And for commissioning, we did have a regional support from NIA. And having all of them together was like the financial part. And then comes a core project team, different stages and how they played their role. So over the construction, Tacoma Housing Authority was probably like the owner for these two buildings, affordable housing communities. The design was carried out by AWHI Engineering, installers by Sunrise Plumbing. The commissioning, monitoring, and verification was done by Ecotope. Tacoma Power did an overall project management, also like coordinating some of the work. And New Buildings Institute did the documentation, is like putting together the case study and fact sheets, the best practices and lessons learned from this project. So this is a little project overview. But then when there's a project, there are certain questions. Why, what, and how? Why a central heat pump water heater system? When there is any sort of project where you do want to upgrade to an energy efficient water heater, you have a choice. You could go for a unitary water heater, you could go for a split, or you could go for a central heat pump water heater. Now, different factors are taken into consideration when you make that choice. Now, with new construction, there's a little bit of flexibility. In case you have a closet space or in the hallway or or within your utility room where you can place this heat pump, you can go in for a unitary heat pump water heater. In case you don't have that outdoor patio or closet space, or if the living space is already small and you don't want to take up a space putting a heat pump, you probably might want to go for a central heat pump water heater. Also, central heat pump water heater would be a little more efficient in terms of operating cost, and it will do the same thing, provide hot water consistently. It reduces some sort of like the financial burden that might come with going with an individual unitary heat pump water heater. Given this was new construction, they had the flexibility of designing good enough space, and also then choosing the right size of a central heat pump water heater, which would fit in the space. Here we had like a really vast garage space. So this central heat pump water heater was like a right fit for this particular project. And when this project was being sort of like put together, strategized, Sandco split system was one of the very obvious choices, given that it's a heat pump water heater. There have been studies for its efficacy of being a central heat pump water heater system. Um, Sure, yeah. Central heater water heat system, they're efficient, and there was no space constraint issues. They could easily put these up in both the buildings, north and south. Now, when it comes to the system configuration, the table is put together by EcoDash, which is an app created by Eco2. So in both the buildings, there were different set numbers of heat pumps used based on the building occupancy. So for north, it was about like 22 heat pumps. For the south, there were like 12 heat pumps that were used. The expected coefficient of performance was around 3.2. This is usually based on like how the system performs. But yes, this is something that we put together as a system or a technology for this particular project site. Now, project plan. You have the funding, or at least you have identified the funding source. You have identified stakeholders. And then you have to come together to design different stages of how you're going to implement. So first stage is usually a planning stage, like what all needs to be done and who all are going to take care of the certain areas, like what the design team needs, or before that, what the project management team needs. In this case, there was a good amount of collaboration between the design team, the plumbing team, utility, housing authority, in the sense that they all were aligned in a way that they know the kind of system that needs to be put in this particular new construction. When the design team takes into consideration some of the feedback or viewpoints of the contractors regarding installation, it helps them to sort of like narrow down the choice of the particular product. They also use the eco-sizer to perfectly size the kind of heat pump, the number of heat pumps that would go into the north and south building. This is what a coordinated effort looks like. The phase delivery installation took about like 8 weeks, with 4 to 6 weeks for commissioning. These were like the stages post the design, the selection of the product. Then the plumbing team comes in. Once they have installed, they check. Then they do they run the whole system. Then there is commissioning for monitoring verification equipments, and this went on like on a step-by-step process. All things were verified right from the piping, the flow meters, calibration, which was sort of like they did have some issues with the data initially. Everything was like a process where you need that coordinated effort. So this is like a basic thing that you would do for any sort of project plan. But then everything looks like really easy, but we do hit some roadblocks, the bumps beneath the heat pumps. Budget. You do have identified financial sources, but it's not like it follows a timeline, and you may not get the funding at the right time. It might be delayed. There are many factors that could just come into play. When the funding is delayed, the procurement of equipment is delayed. In this situation, the procurement, it was not just the delay of the equipment, but also the tariff cost that eventually added up. It increased the budget, which was then a little bit of a difficulty for the contractor because they now are working on a fixed budget, but this is something that they have to float the cost. This also delayed the orders or the procurement of the product. Like, you were expecting something to just arrive in, say, 6 to 8 weeks, and it took 6 months, like for a controller. So now this delays your like installation phase. Then that would delay your monitoring verification phase. So every step gets delayed. These were the timeline delays that did occur with the installation and monitoring and verification team, which also made some of the equipments very expensive. Some of the equipments for monitoring verification, they need to be installed during the construction phase. Reason being, they are better able to connect them within a range where they do not have any connectivity issues with the cellular controls or modems that are being used. Post construction, already this equipment is like expensive, and then you'll just have to adjust them in places where you just can find. So in that case, you will have some sort of like signal issues, which will then affect your data and also the efficiency of the system. So these are some of the issues that did the project team, like overall, like, the installation and monitoring verification team did come across connectivities and wiring errors. But then keeping all these roadblocks aside, we did move forward and we had some good results. If you just look at this graph, the energy consumption was mainly on the heat pump water heaters. When I say swing tanks, those are electric resistant water heaters that are kept as a backup resistance. It's usually used for maintaining temperature maintenance load. But if you just have a look at this graph, a major portion of domestic hot water dependency was on the heat pumps, which is like above 50%. The one thing that you have to note here is that North building was not fully occupied when this commissioning work started, with like when the system started working. It was around like 50% occupied. So that like not having a full occupancy also affects your system performance, because there is a low hot water demand. So at that point of time, your electric resistance may run more compared to your heat pump water heater. But once you have like a full occupancy, definitely the system efficiency improves over time. So this was something like but despite all the issues that we came, like with the calibration, trying some data discrepancies, delays, this was still a very good result that we got right from the beginning of this year, around like April until October. Now, moving to as I mentioned, the domestic hot water usage was primarily more on the heat pump side, as you can see in this graph as well. This was both for North and South building. Again, you would see a little bit more efficiency on the South building side, given that it was very good, very well occupied compared to the North building, which was like 50% occupied. The swing tanks, there are two swing tanks. So swing tank 1 and 2. So the swing tank 2 has like a very minor, at a very minor level, it has been used. So it might be very hard to see in this graph, but yes, they both have been included in this along with the heat pump output as well. The same goes for energy and coefficient of performance. It remained consistently above 1, close to 2. It did not reach up to the level of what it was expected. But yes, as I mentioned, occupancy was definitely one of the issues because the system couldn't run to the full efficiency, given that there wasn't much of a hot water demand. And yes, it hasn't been like a full year result to come to a conclusion. This is like an expected projection. But yes, moving forward, these are some of the lessons learned that one needs to keep in mind when you are looking at some numbers of coefficient of performances. Now, what were the lessons learned during this project? One was following a qualified product list so that you are very well aware of the benchmark of system performance, what it needs, and definitely on the swing tank set point. It was originally set at around like 140 degrees Fahrenheit, which was putting a lot of dependency and pressure on the electric resistance water heaters. When that was reduced to around like 130, the system efficiency improved with a major dependency on the domestic hot water. Planning, budget, and policy also plays a very crucial role, but most importantly, you have to identify, like if you want to scale this project in different regions, one of the things that you would definitely want to look into is like, what are the policies within your region, how supportive they are of like electrification, whole home electrification projects or partial electrification, the kind of incentives that you have in hand, which can definitely be a part of your financial pool. Also, like how supportive, like, how long could you extend this particular project? Factoring in lead times. We do have, when we do a project planning, we do put together a timeline. Like we want this to be completed in 3 months. We want the installation to begin at a certain point of time. We want the monitoring verification installation to be completed by a certain point of time, and then to have the data. But yes, you also have to factor in like an extra time as well in your planning, because sometimes some of the things might just delay your whole planning. Like, even like it could be a controller, or it could be like some changes in the standards and policies. It could be an added budget due to tariffs, or the equipment might get costlier. So you might have to find other ways to sort of procure the equipment. Construction monitoring and maintenance. Maintenance is something that is slightly overlooked in these kind of projects. The core focus always is on, like, installing, commissioning, or trying to find the right kind of product if it's a retrofit, or even for new construction, financial, like the upfront cost, or trying to reach the break-even period. But most often people do forget that there is also a cost that is associated with maintenance, preventive maintenance, post-installation maintenance, something that you have to do on a regular basis. So when you are putting together a project planning and a financial model for like how much would go as a budget, like in particular phases, you also have to make sure that you do have a budget secured for post-maintenance and preventive maintenance as well, because that is something would definitely would come up. Like even it's like simple as like cleaning filters, or doing a preventive maintenance check, as well as you need to have a team dedicated for this. Some of the affordable housing, they do have their in-house maintenance team to at least do a basic preventive maintenance test, but not everyone has it. So these are some of the things you would definitely want to consider before you step into any sort of electrification projects. But yes, other than that, there were some, as I mentioned, data discrepancies within when we started with the commissioning and monitoring and verification part. The reason being, some of the flow meters were not properly calibrated. So that was another lesson learned, that make sure that all your sensors, flow meters are properly calibrated before you do a run of the system, so that you don't have that different or a negative data coming up during a monitoring and verification. You also need enhanced alarm system. So in case there is a system error, you would know, because sometimes, like, like the basic alarms that you use, they might go off, but you wouldn't even hear them or know that something's off with the system until it's been a long way. So these are some of the things that you would definitely want to make sure that you have like an integrated planning. You have commissioning done at the right time, some of the equipments installed during the construction phase, if it's a new construction, a proper streamlined stakeholder coordination and engagement, and make sure your diversified financial resources is not dependent on one part. Like, it shouldn't completely be a private funding or completely be a public funding. I would say it is best to have a mix of both, so that, because this is a long-term project, it could go on for like 3-4 years. It does take. So you're pretty sure, or at least secured a certain amount to go, like within, like, different stages. Like stage one is a planning, stage two coming together, buying equipments, making sure that everything is in place. Even for some of the stages, like for, I would say, design team, even if they buy certain equipments way ahead in time, they wouldn't install it like much earlier. Sometimes there are cases of, like, manhandling or theft. So it's always better to sort of install them right before 3 weeks before the commissioning, so that they can also be in tandem with the monitoring and verification team as well, with their equipments being in place. So yes, these are some of the things, lessons learned from this project. And I would say, like, for any technical questions, feel free to ask, feel free to put in the chat. I can definitely forward them to the technical team and get back the answers. But yes, that is all on the presentation. I would now open the platform for discussion. So if you have any questions, let's chat. It's okay, not everyone has to be on mute. You can definitely come forward, or you can even put your questions in chat. Even if you have some thoughts, like if there are any factors that we have missed out, that should have been taken into consideration, or for any future project, we welcome any feedbacks and suggestions.
Vidhisha, this is Bill Lyons.
Hey, Bill.
Can you hear me? Okay. Are you able to say anything about costs on the monitoring and of the whole project? Understand if that is something we can't, but
Sure. Monitoring, like not the exact budget is something that I have in my hand right now, but I can tell you that the funding for the monitoring equipment was delayed. Like it was way past the construction phase when they finally got some budget. By then, the equipments already had become very expensive. So the monitoring and verification team did come up with a strategic solution of borrowing some of the flow meters from Bonneville Power administration to sort of like go ahead with the project. So they did save in the sense they tried to implement cost effective measures in a way, but I don't have the exact number of what was the cost. But cost was definitely a factor in the sense that with the changes in administration and policies and the tariffs going up, most of the equipments did become expensive. Like there was a certain estimated cost, but then it just went a little over the estimated cost. I hope that answers your question, Bill.
thanks.
Does anyone else have any questions or any thoughts in general, like what should have been included or other factors that we should take into consideration?
I have a quick question or maybe a clarification. I'm sorry if I missed it. You mentioned already, but do you have any initial performance data, like how the time, how the tenants are feeling about the new system?
Well, THA usually does, THA as in Tacoma Housing Authority, so they usually do this little community engagement with the residents. Since this was being new construction, I'm not sure if this was this particular project, but yeah, when they do have any sort of such communications, are in general, residents are not like, they are not bothered about the kind of hot water system that is being put in a apartment, because at the end of the day it's hot water, right? So like a green messaging is not something that people quickly resonate with. So that is something that they have understood, even if they put a question like, what are the things that you would want to do for like community engagement, or like what would you like to see as an energy efficiency upgrade in the apartment. Not You wouldn't see someone say like a heat pump water heater or like a central heat pump water heater, because this is something like they probably would know some of them, but it's not the first thing on their mind. So when they did, like, I'm not sure, like as I said earlier, I'm not sure if it was this particular hilltop residency, but they when they usually do, um, energy efficiency is not a topic that residents usually like proactively come up with or engage. So yeah, that is something that should have been added as well, I believe. Like even with this case study, like we did make a fact sheet for installers and builders, but I think as a consumer outreach as well, like how much savings they have done, or like what makes the difference when we switch to any energy efficiency upgrade should also be included. That is something that I can make a note of. But thank you for that question, Dipti. Anybody else? Any questions? This is it's a very quiet group. The holidays are still far away. We can still be a little bit active. Magadlina, do you have any thoughts since you work in the space of affordable housing? Sorry for putting you on the spotlight.
No, no worries. You mentioned that this is new construction. You mean brand new construction, or that was installed in the existing building?
No, this was a brand new construction.
Okay, so well, I'm jealous. I am dealing mostly with the existing building, so this is completely different story for us. But more only about the maintenance plan, as this is new construction, how the maintenance is managed. Is it under original warranty for the original property and like a new construction, or the maintenance is secure through the external vendor? How are you dealing with this?
That is a question I can definitely check with them. But as far as my knowledge goes, I don't think that an external vendor was involved. when it comes to this warranty. And that is why we did put a note like in best practices and lessons learned that you have to go beyond the initial warranty period, because sometimes I think it only covers to a certain point. And
Yeah.
because of budget and funding delays, when the project gets extended and the whole phase is like stage 1, stage 2, it goes or for a longer period, it might just cross that initial warranty time. So not really sure like who had it covered, but then I can definitely check that with Tacoma Housing Authority.
Okay, and how is the redundancy? Yes, because again, those are quite large buildings, both south and north. Yes.
Right.
And I
Right.
see also there is multiple Sanko unit, which makes
Oh, yes.
sense. But let's say, did you calculate it? Let's say if 1 or 2 Sankos are out,
Right.
will the building still have enough hot water, or this is either electric resistant tank involved, or just it is calculated that all heat pumps must be in full operation to provide the hot water demand?
Well, I think given depending on the occupancy, would usually definitely be the heat pumps that would be involved. Not that I'm a very technical person, but I'll just answer the best of my knowledge. In case of any with central heat pump water heater, I would say in case of any issues with the heat pump water heater, it does cut off water to the entire building. But yes, when you have a resistance backup, they do get into action. That would definitely increase the load of domestic hot water production on the swing tanks compared to the heat pumps. But so far, they haven't had any such issues where they know they went out of hot water for a long period of time. And I'm pretty sure like this was one of the reasons why they also wanted to have like an enhanced alarm system, given that if there is any error message in the heat pump, they could rectify it or at least like find a solution to it. So I hope that answers your question, but I will definitely make sure to check with the team and in case there is any other answers. But if there is any other technical person, Bill, Dipti, feel free to jump in and provide your opinions on this one. Any questions? Anyone else? It's like I have to pick people to and put them on the spotlight so that we can have questions. But yes, this was about the project. But yes, feel free to put down your questions in case you have any. Even later on, I can pass them out to the whole team. And we would love your feedback as well to put together some notes. The case study is in a draft version right now, and hopefully we'll have it published by next week and share it as a resource on the AWHI page for you all. But yes, that was all about the affordable housing project. And now I can move to some closing updates here. As I mentioned, we don't have a meeting next month. We'll be reconvening in 2026. So as we close out, just a quick review of how we sailed through this year. It was a little uncertain. I wasn't really sure, but we did make a really strong comeback with a good number of people joining the equity working group. We are over like more than 100 or 110 members in the working group. Not everyone attends, but yes, we are almost over 100. We wanted to focus more on affordable housing, some utility incentives, and some of the projects that are focused on affordable housing. As a outcome or deliverable from this working group, Deepthi and I did think of putting together the central heat pump water heater tracker. And once I have enough resources gathered, I will definitely share the link with you all in January so that you can also add any of the resources that you would like for everyone else to know. We did have an affordable housing webinar on Heat Pump Water Heater Week. That was also a part of this deliverable from this working group. Apart from that, I did put together an article for an in-unit heat pump water heater replacement in one of the affordable housing communities in Portland. It's still under review, so it will be published soon, and we will send it out to the group once it is out on AWHI page. But yes, other than that, whatever goals that sort of like we had set out, some of them we did cover. So I'm happy and hopeful that moving forward in 2026, we'll have more strategies how we want to move forward, and of all the things that we need to do. So if you have any thoughts, ideas, do list them down. I will create a running document in December with you all so that you can put in your ideas, so that we have a list of good discussion points for the January meeting. The January meeting will be definitely a power check-in so that we can reconvene again and put down some action items for 2026. So that's the whole idea for now. Yes, I would now like to let Dipti share some thoughts in case you have.
Thank you, Vidhisha. You covered pretty much everything, so that's great. Yeah, I know. I was just remembering how the year started with us discussing about like, do we change the name of the group, or like how do we go from here to finishing strong and still sticking with the name. So yeah, I like that.
Yes,
Yes,
thank
and really looking forward to planning next year's theme and next year's uh, topics for discussion, and also, great, happy holidays, and we'll see you at the all stakeholders meeting.
Yes, everyone. I do
Thank
encourage
you.
everyone to join the all stakeholders meeting. And utility incentives was one of the topics that everyone was interested in. We do have a utility working group where different utilities across US, they do come and talk about the heat pump water heater programs, commercial, residential, midstream, multifamily, affordable housing, all included. So in case you're interested, do check them out on the AWHI page. There is a separate playlist for the utility working group. But I will try to make sure that next year we do have some of the utilities coming to this group to present about affordable housing, community projects, or like special incentives for them. But yes, having said that, that was all from my side and Dipti. So in case anyone has anything else to say, please do come forward, or maybe we can just wrap this meeting up and I can give you back 15 minutes of your time. Thank you,
you all.
everyone.
Have a great day.
You too. Happy
Bye.
holidays, everyone.
Thank you, Vidisha, Deepti.
Thank you.
Thank you.